Terry McLaurin is a go, but two other Commanders may not be this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. Wide receiver Dax Milne also heads to the IR. All of that and more right now on today's episode of Locked On Commanders.
Your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in, Commanders fans, to this Friday episode of Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast covering the Washington Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I thank you so much for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day every day. Don't forget that you can subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you're getting your podcast. And you can continue this conversation with me after the show by becoming a Locked On Commanders insider. Just go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders, and you can get text messages from me during games. I live text press conferences. We'll be doing a lot of stuff with data. We'll be doing some film studies as the season gets on, just a whole lot of stuff. Or you can just talk to me about football, about life, about whatever you choose to talk to me about. I am your host, David Harrison, on Twitter at DHarrison82, credential member of the media covering your Washington Commanders for CommanderCountry.com, part of Sports Illustrated's FanNation. Here with you every Monday through Friday, along with our Everydayers. And as always, Everydayers, I greatly appreciate you coming through, supporting the show like you do on a daily basis. Today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the promo code, all lowercase, Locked On NFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Getting this weekend rolling by recapping the past week on Locked On Commanders. And I'm going to share some footage of our press conference, press meeting, scrum, whatever you want to call it, with new minority owner of the Commanders, Irvin Magic Johnson. That happened on Thursday evening, so I'll share some footage from that with you. But first, we've got game statuses to talk about. Not only do we have official injury reports coming out this week, but now we have our first official game status report following Friday's practice from head coach Ron Rivera from the PR department of what's going to go on. Now, earlier in the morning on Friday, wide receiver Dax Milne was put on injured reserve. Now, we're told it's a short-term trip to the IR. There really is no official short-term IR, but that's kind of the phrase that is used as short-term IR, and that's the phrase that was used for Dax, the short-term IR. So he's got to miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season, could miss 5, maybe 6, but bottom line is the Washington Commanders do expect him to become healthy at some point again and do look like they expect to bring him back on the active roster. So Dax Milne, the latest player to go there. Good news there, if there is a silver lining, no major players, I suppose, going to the IR here ahead of week one. Chase Young did practice again. He was limited in practice according to the practice report and is officially listed as questionable for week one against the Arizona Cardinals. Asked about his status in his post-practice press conference, Coach Rivera did share with us that Chase is scheduled to meet up with his doctor on Friday afternoon. Our understanding of that is that's a Zoom conference schedule and basically just go over the symptoms, probably do some range of motion tests with him over the camera, see what he can and can't do. If the doctors clear him, and if everything protocol-wise, health-wise, looks like it's pointing in the right direction, Ron Rivera did say that he feels comfortable playing Chase if all of those things align. Whether or not that's going to come to fruition, we'll find out. And, again, it's going to be, we'll be watching him in warm-ups ahead of the game. We'll be watching for the inactive report that comes out about an hour and a half before kickoff. So more to come on that, but no official designation for Chase Young outside of questionable. So we'll see what happens there. James Smith-Williams, defensive end. James Smith-Williams, a new addition to the injury report, a new addition to the practice report, was limited in practice on Friday with an oblique injury. He is officially listed as questionable as well for this game against the Arizona Cardinals. The good news, though, came with wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who returned to the practice field for the first time since experiencing or suffering a turf toe injury in the final preseason game of the year. Full participant at practice, not going to be listed on the injury report, which means he's a go. He is a full go. And Ron Rivera said, quote, "It's exciting from the beginning of this week right up to where we are. Terry has gotten stronger and stronger." And he continued, "I think the rapport that he and Sam have is really important to us," end quote. And I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that. I'm sure Sam Howell is super happy to have number 17, have his number one receiver coming back onto the playing field just in time to host the Arizona Cardinals in front of a sold-out crowd. Also, cornerback Benjamin St. Juste, who's been dealing with an ankle injury, full participant all week at practice, full participant again Friday, also will not be listed on their injury report, does not have a game designation, which means he is also good to go. For the Arizona Cardinals, at the time of this recording, we do not have official game statuses for them. So look out for those. And once I get those insiders, I will text you the Arizona Cardinals game statuses as soon as I can get to those. We do have a pep rally coming up today in Franklin Park in Washington, D.C. Josh Harris managing partner of the Washington Commanders, is going to be speaking at that. So we will be out at that engagement. So between driving, between all of it, we will find out the Cardinals game statuses and talk about those via text message with my insiders again. So if you want to get on that, join subtext.com/LockedOnCommanders is where you go. However, we do know that over the week, offensive tackle Kelvin Beachum was limited in practice on Wednesday, did not practice on Thursday. Downgrades are always not a good sign for an NFL player getting ready to play, especially week one. Star wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown. I don't know if he's a star anymore, but I call him star wide receiver just because we all kind of know who he is. Hamstring injury, limited Wednesday, limited Thursday. When you're talking about a smaller receiver who kind of lives and dies on his acceleration and his speed, those hamstring injuries are tricky and nothing to mess with. So we'll see what that looks like on Friday. Tight end Zach Ertz dealing with a knee issue, limited in practice Wednesday and Thursday as well. So he may not be available for the game. Linebacker Dennis Gardick, knee injury, was a full participant Wednesday and Thursday. So barring a setback Friday, the Cardinals will have him. But potentially without Kelvin Beachum, potentially without Marquise Brown, also potentially without Zach Ertz, which would or will only help the Washington Commanders' chances as they come into a game that FanDuel has them listed to win by a full touchdown and a Joey Sly extra point. Speaking about the Cardinals on Friday after practice, so Coach Rivera did say he's got a lot of respect for the Arizona Cardinals. He's got respect for the coaching staff over there, for some of the players they've got over there. Specifically, he kind of went on a little bit of a elongated answer about safety Budda Baker, and I think most people understand what Budda Baker brings to the field. If you're a general football fan, if you're only paying attention to burgundy and gold, maybe you don't. But Budda Baker is certainly a guy to keep an eye on in this game against the Washington Commanders offense. I think Sam Howell is going to want to know where Budda is on every snap as well, because Budda's the kind of guy that can turn what is really looks like a non-mistake from a quarterback into a mistake by making the right play on the ball and making a big play for his defense. Also, Ron Rivera was asked about the return situation, right? With Dax Milne going on IR, that's your main punt returner. So he did specify Antonio Gibson, Byron Pringle. Those are your kickoff returners, but he kind of declined or wanted to wait to say anything specific about the punt returner. I think the expectation for most of us around here is that you will see Jamison Crowder elevated from the practice squad on game day. He'll be one of their game day elevations and one of the active 46 members of the roster that plays on Sunday will likely be your punt returner. Could be him, could be Byron Pringle. I would not expect Antonio Gibson probably to be the punt returner. I think Antonio will probably get kick returns and maybe Byron or Jamison gets punt returns. We'll see. But also Jamison Crowder, he's got to get up to speed on the scheme, of course, but if he's forced into action as a veteran receiver, he's got some savvy and kind of knows what to do there. Speaking of the Arizona Cardinals, a lot of people might scoff. If you watch the crossover Thursday episode with me and Locked On Commanders host Alex Clancy, you already know I predicted a Commanders win. Alex Clancy predicted a Commanders win. His prediction, a much wider scoring gap than mine, and that's okay. So a lot of people just kind of expecting Washington to kind of win this game, maybe going away, maybe multiple scores difference here. But Ron Rivera specified, look what happened Thursday night to the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions, come in at home, prime time, kicking off the season, and they get beat by the Detroit Lions, a team that many expected the Chiefs to beat. I don't think it's quite it's not the Arizona Cardinals coming in, but I think everybody expected, for the most part, for the Chiefs to win. The Lions come out with a 1-point win, and he said that is why you don't take your opponent lightly, because those are the kinds of things that can happen when they do. And you know what? It's a good point. And I think maybe the locker room, if anybody in the locker room was feeling a little bit overconfident, hopefully they watched that game and they kind of saw you had to go out there. Just because you have the better team doesn't mean you're going to get the win. Speaking of winning, somebody who knows a lot about winning recently joined the franchise. New minority owner Irvin Magic Johnson was at an event in Washington, D.C. on Thursday evening. We got to meet with him as a media group afterwards, and the scrum was not streamed. So I'm going to go ahead and share, if not all of it, at least most of what Irvin Magic Johnson had to share with us, the media in Washington, D.C. on Thursday night. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by the fact that you don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Men think losing their hair is inevitable a lot of times. Well, we're here to tell you that you can take control of your hair's future with Nutrafol's science-backed hair growth supplement for men. Are you tired of weakened or thinning hair? Do you want to reach your full hair potential? Leading hair growth supplement Nutrafol helps you improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. So go to Nutrafol.com/men to take their health wellness quiz. Identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health. through whole body wellness. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, and enter the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Thanks for making Locked On Commanders your first listener, your first view today and every day. Everydayers, again, special thank you to all of you for coming through on a consistent basis like you do. And my insiders, another special thank you to my insiders who keep me company during practices, press conferences, and looking forward to having more conversations with all of you on game days. If you want to get in on that, join subtext.com/LockedOnCommanders is where you need to go. You get your first 2 weeks free. See what it's all about. If you like it, stick around. If you don't, hey, I appreciate you giving it a try in the first place. Locked On NFL season preview is here. The 7-episode extravaganza brings opinions, analysis, and plenty of debate from all 32 of our Locked On NFL hosts with added insights from our national experts. It's can't miss series before the season kicks off. Already kicked off, but for most teams, kicking off this weekend. So catch every episode on the Locked On NFL YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast. Now, as promised, I was out in Washington, D.C., Boys and Girls Club of Washington, D.C. with Irvin Magic Johnson as he was having an event, gave a whole lot of gifts and prizes away, surprised some folks out there, including myself. But he also talked to the media group who was all out there, the usual suspects, you know who they are. And so here is some footage from that meeting.
Hi, listen, my name is Jordan, and as a club kid who represents Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington, and as a team who is impacted at the club, why is it important for you to visit a Washington, D.C. Boys and Girls Club? And what was it about D.C. and its team that led you to want to become an owner?
Wow. Well, first things first, I grew up in Boys and Girls Club back in Lansing, Michigan. Only probably reason I made it to the NBA. You know, I had a place I could go play, practice, play pickup games, really just hone my skills. I tell you, I was there every day playing. Matter of fact, they had to kick me out. I was there so much. And then I got my first job working at a rodeo with the Boys and Girls Club, making some money. I learned how to play pool. I learned how to read better there. So all the things, and socialize with my friends. And so it was a place, a safe haven for the whole community, and especially the Black community, because that's where it was located. And so I think that this is a natural for me to be here, be back here, and to try to impact young people and tell them my story and my journey. And all of this didn't happen overnight, but a lot of people had hands in me getting to this point in my life and becoming a Commanders owner. To answer that question, Josh Harris deserves probably all the credit. And you know, when Josh put a team together, he called me and wanted me to be a part of the team. Thought I could bring some added value to not only the ownership group, but also to the community. And with me owning already, part owner of the Dodgers, the Sparks, LAFC, so I've had my hands in sports teams, so I know you know, everything about a sports team. And so this was the perfect market for all of us. Nobody is a bigger, let me go back first, Washington Redskins fan than Josh Harris. I mean, him and Mitch, they all grew up Redskins fans. You know? And so now the name has changed to the Commanders. They're in heaven to own this team, but they're going to make a difference to all of us. And I talked to the players yesterday about their own commitment to each other and what it takes to win. I'm not talking winning on the football field, because I can't tell them how to do that, but I can tell them how to win. And so we had a great conversation. So, you know, I told them when I had the press conference, I wanted to be in the community. And so today is the start of that. And I wanted to make an impact and make a difference. And that's why I told you when you graduate next year that I'm going to give you a scholarship. And I told you that before we even, all this press doesn't matter. I'm going to impact your life like somebody impacted my life. So that's what it's all about. All right.
All right, so listen,
Thank you.
you just listed a lot of accomplishments, right? All the things that you've done on the courts, in business, and yet you said that this, being part of this group, might be the most important thing you've ever done in your life. Why?
Because it's the NFL. You know, there's no higher, bigger sports league than the NFL, and it's been hard for us to get into the league. So give Commissioner Roger Goodell a lot of credit, and the group that bought the Denver Broncos, which we went after, Josh and I. They had 3 minorities involved, and now the Commanders have one. So it's important because now all African Americans and minorities in this country feel like they're owners of this team too, because I'm sitting in this position. And so I can't wait. I couldn't wait to get to the players. I couldn't wait to watch them practice yesterday. What a great group in terms of players and the questions that they had for me. And then what a great ownership group, because we all have different skill sets that we bring to the table. But the number one goal for all of us, we want to win. And already give Josh a lot of credit. He's put a lot of millions already into the team that you haven't seen. And the players are ecstatic. And so that's what it's all about, you know, great leadership, and it trickles down to everybody.
Magic, to your point of building a winner, you've been a winner your entire career. Over the past month, couple of weeks, what makes you believe you can turn this franchise, turn this franchise into a consistent winner?
Well, because we have already great young players. And when you have great young talent, you know, that's what makes you feel that you could turn it around. We've been a top 10 defense already. I mean, so we've proven that we can play on that side of the ball. I think Eric coming over has really expanded the offense, and he's a Super Bowl champion. So you could tell in the exhibition our offense is deadly. It's going to be great. I'm having fun because these young men want to win, and you know what they want? This is crazy, and I'm glad you guys are here. They wanted a home field advantage, and finally the stadium's going to be sold out. And so that makes you play better. So thank you to all the fans that's going to come out, not only this Sunday, but all the Sundays, because those young men going to be fired up to see the stadium packed and cheering for them and not for the other teams.
There was a great scene yesterday where you're talking to the DBs. Emmanuel Forbes afterwards said, 6'9" point guard. I don't get it. I don't get it. What was your message to them?
Well, you know, they had a lot of different great questions, and my message was, you know, preparation, and then discipline, and then execution. And last but not least, they have to police themselves. They must demand a lot of themselves and have goals as team, and then go out after those goals, right? What's going to be our DNA, right, of this team, you know? And so, and then you hang your hat on that. Every Sunday, you got to hang your hat on, this is who we are. This is how we're going to play. And so it was wonderful. It was a great, again, team meeting. Now, that was after the team meeting that the DBs came up and they had so many different questions. First they looked up because a lot of them play basketball, so they were like, "You a point guard?" So we laughed about that, and you know, we talked about different things within defense win championships, and so and a couple of them said, "Well, I think I can play in the NBA." I said, "Well, the difference is." We played 4 games in 5 nights in 4 different cities. Can you handle that in 82 games? And so, can you handle that? You sure now? And then they started laughing.
All right, again, that was footage from our media scrum with Irvin Magic Johnson, new minority owner of the Washington Commanders. And you can tell he's excited. I think the city's excited. The fan base is getting excited. The players are excited. And hopefully that excitement will continue with a week 1 win over the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to give you 3 keys to that game, which side will win, plus our end of week review. All of that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders. This episode of Locked On Commanders brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. And testing my skills on Prize Picks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps of your telephone screen. This week on Prize Picks, I'm taking Justin Jefferson for less than 100 yards. And I'm taking Lamar Jackson for more than 1 passing touchdown. Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts selected player projections up to 25% to provide you even more value. And Apple users, Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Back now for segment 3 of Locked On Commanders here on this Friday episode, wrapping up the week. 3 keys of victory. I'm going to tell you who's going to win. I've already told you who's going to win, but I'm going to tell you again who's going to win. And our weekly wrap up of the content here on the Locked On Commanders channel this week. So keys of the game. Typically, this is going to be our segment 2 for pre-games, right? But because of Magic, and I thought you guys would want to hear from Magic, I went ahead and I'm going to push this number 3. So this is going to be a little bit quicker, but in future weeks, we're going to flesh this out a little bit more. The good news is we'll have more data, we'll have more quantifiable things to talk about to flesh this out. So this week, first week, it's all kind of brand new, fresh like a newborn baby. So we're going to kind of talk about some generalities. First generality, protect the rock, right? You have to protect the rock. Turnovers determine the outcome of games all the time. Again, go back to Thursday night. You look at the Detroit Lions, 1-point win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Where can you point to? How about the Brian Branch pick 6? First of all, super happy for the Alabama rookie safety. Didn't do a whole lot to get that interception. Right place, right time. Ball falls right into your hands, and then you run really fast into the end zone. But hey, you take the easy ones just like you take the hard ones. Without that turnover, without that issue from Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver, basically gifting that game away to the Detroit Lions, maybe, we don't know what the outcome would be, but maybe they don't win that game. So protect the rock. You've got an underdog team coming in really with nothing to lose, right? The Arizona Cardinals, nobody expects them to win. Second highest spread of the week, according to FanDuel.com. The only higher spread, Houston Texans, 10-point dogs against the Baltimore Ravens. So that's pretty much what we're looking at here. Do not feed the gremlin, right? That's kind of how I've been reflecting to this. If the Arizona Cardinals get fed, they'll turn into a monster. They'll turn into a gremlin, potentially ruin the Washington Commanders' debut in 2023. Next key, pressure the passer, no matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Joshua Dobbs, whether it's Clayton Tune, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to be new to the system. They're going to be new maybe to the NFL as a rookie, but regardless, there's going to be a little bit of inaccurate or uncomfortableness going on from the quarterback. Apply more uncomfortableness to that uncomfortableness, if that's even a word. Pressure the passer. If Chase Young is on the field, great. If he's not, no matter who's on the field, you got to get there. Would love to get some sacks, but to be quite honest with you, this could be a week that you can get away with getting more pressures, not as many sacks, and still come away with a successful game plan from the defense. Finally, don't outsmart yourself. For Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, his first full game where everybody can say, without a shadow of a doubt, he is calling the offense. He is scripting the offense. He is developing the offense. He is in control of the offense. There is no question. Is Ron Rivera doing it? No, he's not. It is EB all the way. Don't get too smart. Don't outsmart yourself, right? We see it time and time again from coaches. And in week 1, look, the Kansas City Chiefs just lost. EB's got a lot of friends over there, so I'm sure he's feeling for them as a professional. But it is also an opportunity to kind of go out there. Like I sent out a little bit of a joking tweet about the Kansas City Chiefs never averaging less than 28.2 points in a single season, where Eric Bieniemy was the offense coordinator. Also, only scored fewer than 21 points in a game 11 times in 5 years with Eric Bieniemy as the offense coordinator. First game without him, they go and they fall below that average and they score less than 21 points. Eric Bieniemy brings his offense out. The Washington Commanders put up 24, 28, 32 on the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to make a statement, and trust me, people are going to start talking about it. But if you're Eric Bieniemy, you're never worried about what other people are going to talk about before. Don't start now. Stay within your scheme. Stay smart and come out with a win. And I think that's what's going to happen. But those are the 3 keys of victory from where I stand here in week one. Looking at the week that was here on Locked On Commanders Monday, we started off the week with our final look at the initial Commanders roster, and that initial roster has already changed in multiple different ways. But we dove into the practice squad for the first time on Monday and identified players like wide receiver Kaz Allen, running back Derek Gore, and offensive tackle Alex Ekwembulu, who may or may not get some playing time in the regular season as we progress through this thing. Alex Ekwembulu, by the way, big-time Lakers fan. Talked to him after he got to speak to Magic Johnson, and he was blown away, not just as a fan in awe of a legend, but also just the leadership that Magic brought into the locker room. Super happy with that conversation there. Tuesday, we had our mailbag episode coming back for our first mailbag of the regular season. We got a really hot question about Sam Howell and expectations. Could Sam Howell hit 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns in a season? We basically put the number at about a 43% chance. If you want to know how we got to that number, head back to Tuesday's episode and dive into that mailbag episode. A lot of good questions coming in through that. Wednesday, our big story was the initial, very first practice report of the season and the expectations for injured players like Chase Young, Terry McLaurin. Now we've obviously got a little bit more information, a little bit more knowledge, and we're a little bit better prepared to go into week one. And then, of course, Thursday, yesterday, the last episode before this one, crossover Thursday with Locked On Cardinals host Alex Clancy, who predicted a 30-13 win for the Washington Commanders. And if that happens, then you are going to be incredibly happy. But before we get to game day, we got to talk about one other thing. Coming up tomorrow, bonus episode, I'm going to tell you what the Washington Commanders' final regular season record will be, and we're going to dive deep into the first 4 games of the season as we get ready to launch into the first quarter of the regular season this Sunday. In the meantime, if you got questions or comments, just drop them down in the YouTube comment section. Hit me up on Twitter. Email me at lockedoncommanders@gmail.com or send them to me directly by becoming a Lock Insider at joinsubtext.com/lockedoncommanders. As always, I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Commanders first listen of the day every day, every dayers. I want to thank you again for coming through on a consistent basis like you do. Insiders, I want to thank you again for continuing to support the show and also giving me somebody to talk to about Washington Commanders football on a daily basis. Thank you so much for making me a part of your day, part of your routine. And until we speak again, please be safe, be kind. And I'll see you next time for another episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.